Hey, Tim.
Oh, it's being recorded.
Sorry. um, Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fall term of Intro to School Counseling. My name is Dr. Spencer Gwynn, or Dr. Gwynn, and I'll be your instructor. I am going to try to admit as many people as I can right now before we get started, because I have a 40-minute time limit as far as my time, and I want to make sure I go over everything and then also give you time to ask any questions. So I invited all of my classes here. So the information shared is going to be a little bit more general, but it applies to all of the classes. And before we get started, I just want to make sure that I introduce our TA, Kirsten. She will be working with two of the classes this term. So Kirsten, I know you already did um, a welcome post and announcement, but you're more than welcome to do another brief introduction just for everyone, just so they can put a name to a face.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kirsten Mitchell, and I am the TA for the Intro to School Counseling course. I will be assisting, well, being a T. I am a TA. I'm sorry, for section 6 and sections 22. A little bit about myself. I'm from Pompano Beach, Florida, in that's Broward County area, not too far from Fort Lauderdale. I am in the PhD in Counselor Education and Supervision program. And so I'm in my doctoral internship part 1, and I'm excited to work with you all as you matriculate through this course, and also dig a little deeper in what your why is when it comes to your passion in counseling or school counseling. Um, yeah, so I'll be interacting with you all if you are in the sections that I'm working in through the discussion posts, and um, collaborating with Dr. Gwen with grading, and just making this a very helpful experience. But like I mentioned before, I'm very excited to work with you all and getting to know you all as well.
All right, thank you so much, Kirsten. I have always enjoyed having TAs. My last TA stayed with me the entire year, so it's definitely a really great relationship. And I really treat my TAs just like my left and right arm. They are an extension of me. They follow the university policies. They are professionals. Most of them have other jobs and commitments and responsibilities. So if Kirsten is responding to you, or if she needs to call you, please make sure that you treat her with the same respect that you would me as your instructor, because she's there to provide that additional support as well as learn. So I just want to make sure that's out there. And then sometimes if you're in that section 6 or 22, she might respond to you before I can get to you. Or sometimes she might even post an announcement for my other classes if for some reason I'm unable to do so. Like today, my son got sick, so I had to go pick him up from school, take him to the doctor, throwing up, stomach virus, one of those wonderful things you get when you start back school and you start back, around so many other people. But I was able to get things together. So sometimes that can happen, but I just want to make sure that she introduced herself to everyone. I'm also recording this so that if you're unable to attend, or if you did not attend the virtual office hours, I am going to make it available. So just a quick thing about myself. I have been a school counselor now for over 20 years, which is really crazy for me to say that. I am in North Carolina. So I am on the Eastern time zone. Just keep that in mind. And that's the same for Kirsten because she's in Florida. So if you're on a different time zone, just make sure you're aware of that. If you hear my children, I am so sorry. They are crazy. With that being said, I have a 4-year-old and my twins are 2.5 years old. And just like you all, things happen in life. So just make sure that if you are experiencing any difficulties or if you need extra time with an assignment, I think I hear somebody coming in right now, just please let me know and reach out and I'll be more than happy to work with you. I want to see all of you all succeed this term. And if you fail or if you don't really produce the grade that you want, then it's really something that happened that I could not help you with, unfortunately. But I will try to be there to help you as much as I can. I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in because I want to make sure that I go over all of the major assignments and also give you some tips about what to think about as you're writing your week 2 paper, and then also just answer any questions. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my screen. And if at any time, if you have any questions or if you can't hear me or something, just please just raise your hand or just blurt it out if you need a question answered or clarification. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen right now with you. And I'm just going to pick a very one section. So if you might not see your particular section that I show up here, but that's okay because all the sections are the same. So I don't know if you all are familiar with Canvas. We just transitioned to Canvas and at Walden a few years ago. I don't really like it, but I didn't have anything to do with it. So I am still learning how to work it. Your view might look a little bit different from my view. But the thing I want to just highlight here is to make sure that you review the announcements. Every week, I will try to post something on Mondays. Kirsten, I'm sorry, will come in and post things for the sections that she's working with. So just make sure that you look out for the announcements for any important information about assignments, discussion boards, or just anything that I need to share as far as grading and everything. Um, the first, and also I just want to go back to our course. You'll see that our course is really divided up into 3 modules. So you'll start with the first module, and that's going to take you through weeks 1 through 3. And this is where you're going to learn a little bit more about school counseling and the code of ethics and professional dispositions. During the first 3 weeks of the course, you will have discussion boards, and also you will have these little assignments that you'll need to turn in. And you'll just get like a little quiz, not quiz, but a little certificate associated with that. When we move into module 2, this is where we're going to start to learn a little bit more about the Aspen National Model. The only requirement for books for this course, it is the Aspen National Model. And you will use that book whenever we do the competency assessment, which is not one of my favorite assignments, but hopefully we can get that improved in the next couple of years. But other than that, everything you need for the course, you should be able to find it in the learning resources, course resources. So you have a little bit of time before you need to buy the Ask the National Model book, but you need to make sure you get the latest version of the book. You can buy the Kindle or the electronic version. The pages might be a little bit different. So if I'm telling you to go to page 95 through 98 for the competency assessment, then they might look a little bit different if you have the electronic book versus the physical book. But module 2 is really all about the national model. You're going to go over the different sections, the access, the find, the manage, and then you're going to move into your digital portfolio and deliver. Now, module 2 is also when we start to transition some of our discussion boards. And you're not going to have a discussion board during week 5, which I'll talk about, which is a great time for you to just take a breath. Yeah, sometimes that kind of coincides with fall break if you're on some type of school schedule, if your children or if you care for any young people that they're on. Then also you go into week 6. There's another discussion there. And then we get to week 7, and that is really our last discussion board for our course. I did make a, let's see here. If I can go back to it. I think I had made I had brought out the template that I had for the assignments. Oh, here it is. So here you can see more of the assignments where we go through and we talk about no discussion board on week 5. And then you see where we move into the module 2 for weeks, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the final module is more so just the last week of class. So that's where you are fitting everything together and you do your school counselor interview. So if we go back to the assignments again, sorry about this jumping around here, you'll see that the first week we are doing a welcome discussion board. Week 2, there's no discussion board and there's just the paper. But then, and then week 3, there's the ethics and school of counseling disposition discussion that we're going to talk about. Week 4, there's a grade level discussion. Basically, this is where you just tell us, okay, well, which grade level are you interested in? It's not hard and fast. You don't need to say, I want to work with the elementary students or middle schoolers or just high school. It's just whatever you think you might be interested in. Then we move into our core beliefs and ethics, and you're going to review the school counselor competency, and then that's our last discussion. Then we move into the Padlet, and then we go into our skill setter videos, which I'll just take a moment here and just make sure that you will need to purchase I don't know what they call it, a course pack for Skill Setter. I don't know how the bookstore packages it. I do know that you can either buy Skill Setter for just this course or you can buy it for an extended time. And that's up to you as far as your finances and how you want to think about purchasing Skill Setter, but you will need Skill Setter by week 9. Okay. Every term, always have some type of student or a student to email me on Sunday night, on week 9, saying, I don't have a code. I can't do my video. And unfortunately, I can't help you at that time because you would have had to purchase the video from the bookstore. So I don't know if you can purchase that electronically and then they just automatically give it to you. And then, hey, you can go ahead and make your video on Sunday. But I definitely recommend that you go ahead and purchase Skill Setter now, or if you need to wait, if you can purchase it by week 5, or definitely by week 8. Make sure that you purchase it as soon as you can. And then after you do your Skill Setter video, then you're going to move into your final week of class, which is your school counselor interview. This is also something that I want to make sure that I talk about a little bit now, is that what you will need to interview a school counselor. If we go back to week 10, because every term I have someone who's, hi, Nicole, you have a question?
Hi, yeah. I just wanted to mention too that if anyone's struggling to pay for their books or skill setter, just you can go on to the Walden Student Portal and you can get a loan advance for books up to $500.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. That is just so helpful. Yes,
Yeah,
please go ahead if you need that. And they can do that now. They can go ahead and do it now.
yeah, you can do it from like 2 weeks before the term starts up to I think when refunds get dispersed.
Okay, now how much is Skill Setter? Because I've always wondered how much it
Um,
costs.
so you can buy it for one term for all of your classes for that term, and it's like I'm not sure exactly how much it is, but you can buy it for 4 terms, so a whole year for all of your classes, and it's $90 for the whole year. So it makes a lot more sense to do it that way. I know that much.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't think it was very expensive.
No, it's only expensive if you buy it term by term. Then it's like $70 a term, which just
Ooh.
why when you can get 4 terms for 90.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of other classes use skill setters, so it's definitely worth investing in it. And for our class, you will make two videos at the same time. One video is describing what school counselors do, and the other video is just you describing your flyer or our newsletter that you make for your Padlet. And I'll show you an example of that. Not the skill setter, but an example of what you'll need to describe. Thank you, Nicole. For week 10, I wanted just to put it out there that you should, if you have not already, start to think about a school counselor that you can interview. You can find the interview questions for the school counselor that you will need to interview under the assignment section here. And the interview, it's kind of set up into three components. So you'll have component one, where you will interview the person and just ask them about, qualifications. What did you need to do to become a school counselor for your particular state? And then also any relationships that they might have with their principal, how they use data, and just how they maintain their self-care and wellness. And then the second component is just a day in the life of a professional school counselor. So you'll want to just have them to describe what do they do from the time they get into their office or time they step foot on campus, because some people do but lunch duty or bus duty. I mean, breakfast duty, depends on what they call it, until whenever they go home. And you will find that some counselors work from the time they step foot on campus until late into the evening, which is not recommended, but that's just how it goes sometimes. And then the last component of the school counselor interview is going to be your reflection. What did you learn? Did this change your thoughts or insights as far as wanting to become a school counselor, wanting to learn more about a school counselor? It is also important just that you review the rubric, just so that you can understand what the requirements are. This paper, it needs to be 7 to 9 pages, and it needs to be written in a narrative format. All the time, students, they want to just do it in the question and answer, and that's not how you should do it. It should not be like, what is your name? My name is Dr. Gwen. How long have you been a school counselor? For 20 years. No, you write it in a narrative form. Um, it is okay for you to interview the school counselor via Zoom. You can even send the person the questions if you think they want to sit down and type all the answers out. You can interview them over the phone. We kind of changed the interviewing them in person because of COVID and other things, just difficulties getting in touch with people. But I want to make sure that you at least understand that the interview needs to be 7 to 9 pages. If you use any references, you reference ASCA, the national motto, or any of our resources that you write the paper in the APA format, the 7 and 9 pages does not include the cover page or any references, because sometimes people need that extra space in order to get everything in for the interview. But I encourage you to go ahead and start thinking about who you want to interview and setting up that interview, and maybe even during week 5 when there's no assignment due. But I definitely also recommend that you take week 5 as your self-care week, do something fun with your family, relax. But if you can, and if you want to, you can start to work on your Padlet, start to do some of your interview work during that time as well. And I always have students every term that wait until the last minute. They're struggling to get in touch with a counselor, especially over the summertime. I had so many students that could not get in touch with a counselor when they took school counseling this past term. If you are struggling to find a school counselor, please let me know by week 5. You will need to identify a person that you intend to interview. I think it's either week 3 or week 4. I can't remember now. But even if that changes by the time we get to the end of the course, that's okay. Because sometimes a counselor might say, hey, yeah, you can interview me. And then there are conflicts and you can't get in touch with the person. So you might want to identify maybe a couple of people. If for some reason you still cannot find anyone by week 5, reach out to me. I have some friends, I only have some friends. I have some friends that are in different parts of the country, and I can arrange for them to interview you or you to interview them based on your interest. Like if you're in Virginia or Georgia or Florida, you know, a lot of counselors in this area, then I would need to make sure that I get in touch with them so they can get in touch with you, or you can get in touch with them. But I will only reach out to my friends and my colleagues if you reach out to me in a timely manner, because I want to respect their time, and I don't want to have them giving up their time and then you're not respectful for that. So if you are struggling with that, just please reach out to me by week 5 and I can put you in touch with a school counselor. Going back to some of the assignments, the first one I want to make sure that I touch on is the week 2 paper. All right, so every class should have gotten the paper template. If you did not get that, please send me a message or let me know. I think I uploaded to every class. All classes are the same, so sometimes I miss class sometimes. But this is the template that you need to use. This is also a template for you as far as how you, if you don't mind just muting yourself, I don't know if that's you, Jacqueline. Um, I just,
Oh,
or I just hear some, I guess I could mute everybody. I don't know how to even do that. Oh, thank you. Okay. I just heard some background noise. I just wanted to make sure everybody could hear. Um, so what you want to do is you just want to make sure, have you put grades in? Oh, is it Karish or Karish? Is that?
uh-huh.
I have not put all of the grades in. I was a little bit set back today with my son being ill, but I do plan on making sure all the grades are submitted by tomorrow, Friday by the latest. Okay, if you have
Okay.
a particular question about a grade or an assignment, please let me know. So this is the paper template for week 2. And this is also formatted in APA format. So it's a good format just to keep handy if you need to use it in the future references as far as the running heads, page numbers, how do you do the title page. You don't need to do abstract. You don't have to do that for this class or for most of the classes, no abstract. But this class, for this class, this paper, you will need to make sure that you describe why school counselors are no longer called guidance counselors, okay? So you will need to divide the paper up very similar to how it is structured here in the template. You will give a history of guidance counselors. Why do we have guidance counselors? Guidance counselors were really vocational counselors, really focused on career counseling because that's what we were charged with early on. And there was no extra training. You know, you could have been a teacher or an administrator to be a guidance counselor or a vocational counselor when school counseling first started as a profession. And then later throughout time, our profession organized and it really became more organized whenever we had the space race or that intellectual boom, whenever we started to compete with, we used to be Soviet Union, as far as trying to get students geared towards college and more training that way. So you can even put a little bit about the history of guidance counseling and just the history of our country in general, as far as why did it change. We became school counselors because that really gave us an identity for our profession. This is the things that you will find in the learning resources, in the videos that are provided for you. You can talk a little bit about the American School Counselor Association, how now school counseling programs are even, there's even a standard as far as the training for school counseling programs through CACREP. And then also, what does it mean in order to be called a school counselor? You know, I have my shirt on today. It says we are school counselors, not guidance counselors, and we have it all crossed out because it's important to make sure that we promote that. Now, if you call us guidance counselors, that's okay. You know, I mean, you slip up. People still do that all the time. But just make sure that you are really comparing the role of a school counselor versus a guidance counselor. School counselors now work with students for their career, emotional, social, academic, just all sorts of mental health that we need to support students, and also helping them to move beyond college, community college, trade, military or armed services. So there are different things that we do now. And also we use data to help inform our work. So we're not just a group of people sitting in an office, drinking coffee and steering children down the wrong path. Every year you hear some celebrity tell a story about how the guidance counselor didn't believe in them and told them something that, you know, they would never amount to anything. And I just hate it when I hear those stories. But we hear those stories, and then you are learning why, you know, we have some people in the profession who just kind of just did not really grasp onto what we need to do as counselors. But you will find once you start to interview your school counselor that there is a huge focus now on mental health services, social emotional learning, even with our little kindergartners all the way up to our high schoolers. So, and then the last part of the paper is more about your personal vision. You'll write your personal vision statement. And this is also something that you can take out and you will need to put in your Padlet. And I'm going to show you an example of a student Padlet and how she took part of that last part, that personal statement, because you'll have to do a personal vision and mission statement, and how she reworked what she wrote in her week 2 paper and put it in her Padlet. Are there any questions about this paper?
Hi, yeah. So you said that if we were having a really hard time finding a school counselor to interview, to reach out to you by week 5, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, because I know I had a really hard time in my intro to clinical mental health counseling finding someone who would do it as well. I did end up finding someone, but it was like getting kind of scary. So
Yes, please reach out to me. I have some that agreed to work with students last term, and then the students found someone. So I can still call on those people, but like I said, I just want to make sure I do it in a respectful manner, especially now that they're back in school and working for most people.
oh yeah, I'll absolutely try to find someone, but just knowing that if I can't, there's extra help. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, yeah, no problem. So let's go back to the week 2 assignment just to make sure I covered everything. Just make sure that you review the rubric here. So this paper is due by Sunday. It needs to be 2 to 3 pages, not including the title page or the reference page. You will need to compare and contrast, as you see here, the role and the title and the scope and the practice of the school counselor, excuse me, versus the role and the title and the scope of the guidance counselor or vocational counselor. And then you will need to provide your school counseling vision statement. This does not have to be a perfect vision statement. You all might this might be your first intro to school counseling. So you're like, I don't know a vision for anything. I'm just learning all of this stuff right now. That's fine. Just write it. I will give you feedback, and you have plenty of time to change it and update it before we get to the Padlet. Okay. If you have questions, reach out to me before Sunday. I definitely recommend, if you want someone to read your paper, to review it, reach out to the university support as far as writing. One thing I will remind you is please do not use artificial intelligence to support you with writing your papers or even your discussion boards. I know it's out there, and I am just so old school that I just don't even know, well, why would you use it? But, you know, I only had one student that used AI, and it got to the point where her other classmates reached out to me. I had to have a really big discussion with her. I had to go to other colleagues. I mean, it was just a mess. And ultimately, the student failed the course because she just stopped attending the course because she just relied too heavily on artificial intelligence. I can tell when you are using it. I don't even know how many of these papers I have read. So this is just a cautionary statement to anyone. If you have used it in other classes and gotten away with it, or if you use it like one person, 10 minutes, oh my gosh. If you use it just to help you get your paper going, please, I would just caution you not to use it, or just don't use it. Just don't use it. Okay, I said I have 10 minutes left, so I'm only going to be able just to go through the Padlet right now, and I'm going to try to go through that as quickly as I can, and then I will do another virtual office hours after week 5. So I'll do another one before you have to turn in the Padlet and the skill setter and your school counselor interview. So if I'm not able to go through everything right now, you have plenty of time. I want to touch right now on the Padlet. The Padlet change. The Padlet is a digital portfolio. Now, back in the day, I probably had to turn in an actual portfolio. Now you can turn it in digitally. I did have to turn in an actual portfolio for assignments. So this is a Padlet. What you will do is you will go to this free website. It's called Padlet.com. If I can go to it, if I can find it here. But what you'll need to do is you will need to create a Padlet using the 4 or 5 components of the Ask a National model. So use define, manage, deliver, and access. Now this has changed so many times, and I will also upload a video, or Kirsten will help me as far as developing a video as far as how to create your Padlet for you. So if I'm going through all this very fast right now, I do apologize. But I will give you some step-by-step resources to help you develop the Padlet. And then, like I said, we'll do another virtual office hours for you to do that. But the first part of the Padlet, you're going to define, and you're going to define the school counseling glossary terms. Now, this is where you can use your Ask a National Model book, or you can use the Ask a website to help you. But this is where you're going to use learning resources, sorry. And you're going to provide a definition in your own words, and explain the importance for school counseling for these 10 statements, okay? So comprehensive school counseling program, school counseling, scope of practice, academic, career, social, on and on and on and on. The next section of the Padlet is going to be a manage section. And this is where you really will use that vision statement and mission statement that you're creating in your week 2 paper. And this is where you are going to just post that into your professional philosophy for school counseling. And this is also something that you're going to do, I think, during week 3 or week 4. So I would recommend too that you write your discussion boards in a Word document for each week, and you save them. And then whenever you get ready to do your Padlet, you're able to upload the discussion board post essentially into your Padlet. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to deliver. Now, this is where some students, they get a little bit confused, but you're just going to find a lesson plan online. And you need to make sure it's an ASCA formatted lesson plan. Most of the lesson plans that we have out there online, they're ASCA formatted, but if you have a question about it, just send it to me and I can review it for you. But you're just going to do a reflection based on that particular lesson plan. And you're going to describe the goal of the lesson plan and why it might be challenging for you to implement that particular lesson plan in your school, or let's say you're working with elementary students. So for example, let's say you want to do your lesson plan on bullying. It might be a little bit hard to do a lesson plan on bullying for some of our K-3 students because they're still learning how to interact with their peers, and they're still working out social, emotional, or feelings. So there could be a challenge with trying to make sure that you present a lesson plan, if you found one, in digestible and developmentally appropriate language and images for someone in K-3. Now, if you want to do it for someone in 6 through 12 or 4 through 12, it could be a little bit different because you can go a little bit deeper. You can use different language. You can maybe watch videos that maybe you wouldn't be able to share. So maybe along those lines, what are some of the challenges? Another thing is you're going to create a flyer or infographic based on that topic. So if you do bullying for your lesson plan and reflection, and then you're going to create a bullying bullying flyer or infographic. And this is also what you're going to describe in your skill setter to the parent. And I'll talk a little bit more about that because you're like, what? So just keep that in mind. And then you're going to do access. And access is really your school counselor competency. So you're just going to review the elementary, middle school, and high school lesson plans, reports, and then you're going to write a reflection based on that. I have a student sample that I will share with you because I will post this as well in the announcement. So this is a student, Alexis. Please do not copy Alexis' works. Okay, this is just something just so that you can see a Padlet, see how it's set up. I want you to set it up in the same format. That way it's easy for me to go through and find, access, define, manage, and deliver. You will see that she put the lesson plan here. She also put information about the school counseling assessments. And then she also delivered information about her personal school counseling philosophy, her vision statement, which was what she probably developed in this week 2 paper that you're getting ready to write. She also included the school counselor competency, reflection, and review. And then she did her lesson plan. And then this is her infographic that she created. So once again, I probably just went through that so fast that you're probably thinking, what in the world? But believe me, just right now, the main thing I want you to focus on is this week 2 paper and maybe working on finding a school counselor to interview. And we can kind of work on all this stuff because you will see that if you are working smarter and not harder, everything that we are doing up until week 8 should help prepare you for this Padlet. And if you save it and you just rework it, by the time we get to week 8, it's just a matter of just putting it in this electronic format. Another thing, I think by week 3 or week 4, you will need to just post your Padlet link. And this just lets me know that you actually went online, you created a Padlet, used a free account. You don't have to do anything fancy. I'll probably find another student example to share with you too, just so you won't just have Alexis example to see, just so you can see other examples as well. All right. So I am going to stop sharing my screen and open it up for questions because I think I have about 2 minutes left. And I'm so sorry I'm having to rush it. But I just wanted to make sure that I gave you time for any questions. I know is Karish, I'm sorry. You asked a question about the book. The only book that you'll need for the class will be the ASCA National Model Book. It is a red book. You can find it online at the ASCA bookstore or Amazon. If you want to get the electronic version, you can do that. Pages might be a little bit different, but it is the only book that you will need for this particular course.
Yeah, I ordered the one, I ordered the book from Amazon and they keep delaying it till the 15th. So that's why I was wondering, should I cancel the order that we're going to need it?
You don't need it right now. The learning resources should be everything that you need for this week 2 paper. And next week, you won't really need it. So you really will only need it by the time we get to the competency assessment, which I think is week 7.
Okay, I'll just keep it like it is. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Do you have any comments, Kirsten? Any tips that you can share with students? I know we have less than a minute, so maybe 30 minutes, maybe 30 seconds.
Just to piggyback off of what you mentioned, taking it 1 week at a time, really pacing yourself, but really start brainstorming or looking into what school counselors that you can reach out to, so you won't be overwhelmed when that week comes up. And then I will also encourage just going to Padlet on the website, not only just signing up, but just, flipping through it, getting familiar with it. And then, like Dr. Gwen mentioned, I'll be sharing a video with steps to show you how you can build your Padlet and how to navigate it.